Buyers are back, but they are not rushing their decisions. Sellers are listing, but they are not always getting yesterday's price. And here is the crazy part. A recent survey says many Canadians would even skip or scale back a wedding if that helped them buy a home. So that tells you everything about this market. But the dream of homeownership is not dead. So today we're looking at May 2026 numbers for Oakville, Burlington, and Toronto. What changed from last month? What changed from last year? And what this really means if you are buying or selling. So let's start with the big headlines. Across the GTA, May was stronger than April. Sales picked up, new listings actually started to tighten, and when listings tighten while sales improve, that usually means one thing: the market may be slowly moving away from the peak buyer advantage. But let me be very clear, this is not a seller's market everywhere. This is a selective market. So the right home in the right location, priced properly, is getting attention. The overpriced home is still sitting. At the same time, the Bank of Canada is warning about household vulnerability. That matters because housing is not just about the price of the home. It is about monthly payment, mortgage renewal risk, debt load, job security, and confidence. So buyers are not gone. They are just harder to convince. And sellers are not powerless. They just have to be more strategic. Now let's look at the three markets: Oakville, Burlington, and Toronto. Let's start with Oakville. In May 2026, Oakville's overall average price was $1.57 million. Sales came in at 312. The average days on the market was 32 days, and the average sale to list price ratio was about 97%. So what does that mean? Oakville is still the most expensive of the three markets we're looking at today, but expensive does not mean untouchable. In fact, when we look at the detached market in Oakville, the average detached price was about $1.95 million. That was down about 5.8% from April, but essentially flat compared to the same month last year. Detached sales were up strongly, about 22% from last month and almost 28% from last year. This is an important combination. Sales are up, but prices are not running away. To me, that means Oakville buyers are active, but they are disciplined. They are willing to buy, but they are not willing to overpay just because the address says Oakville. For buyers, this is actually a very interesting window. If you are looking in Oakville essentially in homes that need some updates, homes sitting longer than 30 days, or homes priced a little too aggressively, there may still be room for negotiation. But do not confuse negotiation with weakness. Good homes in good school districts on good streets with strong presentation still gets the attention. The buyer's advice for Oakville is this: be patient, but be prepared. When the right home shows up, know your numbers and move with confidence. For sellers in Oakville, the message is simple. Your buyer has money, but your buyer is not careless. They are comparing everything. They know the last sale. They know renovation costs. They know if your home needs flooring, bathrooms, windows, roof, kitchen, or landscaping. So in Oakville, presentation and pricing are not optional. They are the strategy. Now let's move to Burlington. Burlington had a very interesting May. The overall average price was about $1.13 million. That was up 7.2% from April and up 1.5% compared to the same month last year. Sales were 286, which was up 11.3% from April and up 10% from last year. New listings were 623. That was also up from April, but still down from 13.6% compared to same period last year. The average days on the market was 31 days and the average sale to list price ratio was about 98%. So what is the Burlington story? Burlington looks more stable than people may think. Prices were up month over month. Sales were up month over month. Sales were also up year over year. And new listings were or lower than last year. This is a healthier combination. But again, this does not mean every Burlington home is flying off the shelf. It means buyers are there when the value is obvious. In Burlington, location matters a lot. South Burlington, established neighborhoods, mature trees, bigger lots, school districts, proximity to the lake, GO stations, highways, parks, those things still matter. Buyers are not just buying square footage, they are buying a lifestyle. For buyers, Burlington still gives an opportunity, especially if a home has been sitting for 2, 3, or 4 weeks. You may still have negotiation power, especially if the seller has already adjusted the price or if the home needs work. But the best homes are not sitting forever. So buyer advice for Burlington is this: do not sleep on a good property just because you think the whole market is slow. The market is not slow everywhere. For sellers, Burlington is giving you a reasonable chance if you do things properly. But this is not 2021 or early 2022. You cannot just list high, take photos, and expect 10 offers. You need correct pricing, strong presentation, proper marketing, and a clear strategy in the first 7 to 10 days. Because in this market, the first week tells you a lot. If you get showings but no offers, buyers may like the home but not the price. If you get no showings, the market may be rejecting the price immediately. So in Burlington, sellers should not panic, but they should not be stubborn either. Price it right, present it well, and buyers are there. Now let's go to Toronto. Toronto average price in May was about 1.1 million. That was up 1.8% from April, but still down 3.3% compared to the same period last year. Sales were 2,385, basically flat from April, but up slightly compared to the same period last year. New listings were 6,635. That was up from April, but almost down 19% compared to last year. The average days on the market for Toronto was 27 days, and the average sale to list price ratio was about 100%. What does that mean? That means all the homes on average were selling for the asking price. Now this is where Toronto gets interesting. 100% sell to list price ratio sounds very strong, but we have to be careful. It does not always mean buyers are overpaying. Sometimes it means sellers are finally pricing closer to the reality. Toronto prices are still lower than last year, but homes are still selling closer to asking. That tells me the market is not dead, it is just more realistic. For buyers in Toronto, the opportunity depends heavily on property type and location. Condos, certain downtown pockets, investor-heavy buildings, or listings with higher carrying costs may still offer more leverage. But if a freehold home is priced sharply in a desirable neighborhood, you may not have weeks to think about it. Toronto can still move fast when the price is right. For sellers in Toronto, the message is this: the market is not rejecting homes, it is rejecting bad pricing. If your home is priced properly, buyers will show up. If your home is priced based on what your neighbors got 2 years ago, you may sit. Now let's compare Oakville, Burlington, and Toronto. Oakville is the premium market. It has the highest average price, but buyers there are very selective. Activity is up, but price growth is not running away. That tells you Oakville buyers still have discipline. Burlington looks like the most balanced story this month. Prices were up from April and up from last year. Sales were also up from both last month and last year. Burlington is not booming, but it is showing stability. Toronto has the strongest sale to list ratio around 100% and the shortest average days on the market among the three. But prices are still down from last year, which means the recovery is not complete. So here is the plain English version. Oakville buyers are active but careful. Burlington buyers are engaged, especially when lifestyle and value lines up. Toronto buyers are responding when sellers price realistically. And across all three markets, the biggest mistake is assuming one headline applies everywhere. It doesn't. Real estate is very local. Even inside Oakville, Burlington, and Toronto, one neighborhood can behave very differently from another. One price range can be moving, another price range can be stuck. One home can sell in a week, another home can still be 45 days, and crickets. This is why strategy matters. So what should buyers do right now? If you are a buyer, May is still giving you an opportunity. You may still carry that into June and be able to negotiate on homes that have been sitting, homes that need updates, homes with weaker presentation, or sellers who are motivated. But do not assume every seller is desperate. The good properties are still getting the attention. So get your financing ready. Understand your deposit structure, know your closing costs, know the neighborhoods, and when the right home comes up, do not just watch. Be ready. Now for sellers, if you are selling, the market is better than it was earlier this year, but it is not forgiving. Buyers have choices. They are cautious. They are calculating, and they are not afraid to walk away. So your pricing has to be sharp. Your presentation has to be strong. Your first impression has to be clean, and your marketing needs to reach the right buyers on the right time, not just put the home on MLS and hope. The first 7 to 10 days are extremely important. That is when the market gives you feedback. Listen to it. If buyers are not even showing up, the market may be telling you the price is too high from day one, and that's a mistake. So here is my final takeaway for May 2026. This is not a dead market. This is not a crazy market. This is a very careful market. Buyers still want homes. Sellers can still sell, but the easy market is gone. Now you need a strategy. The stats tell one side of the story. The strategy is the other. If you are thinking about buying or selling in Oakville, Burlington, or Toronto, watch more of my videos on my YouTube channel. Give it a like, subscribe. I cover neighborhoods, schools, market trends, buyer mistakes, seller strategies, and what is actually like to live in these communities. And you can also visit RealtorRoshan.ca for more local real estate guides, neighborhood information, and market updates. I'm Realtor Roshan, and thank you for visiting my YouTube channel, Where to Live in Oakville and Burlington. I'll see you on my next video.